It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is April Nyman. She's Executive Director of the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County. April, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Exciting time. You just told me you have a big thing coming up.
We do. The Arts Council's turning 25 years old, and it starts this next July. So we've been in existence 25 years supporting the arts organizations in Anne Arundel County.
Which is a big testament to exactly that, you supporting all these arts organizations. And they do need support. And full disclosure, I was involved in the arts in Anne Arundel County and Annapolis for many years with the Ballet Theater of Maryland. And, you know, these organizations are often small. They don't have all the resources to do it themselves, to get the grants to enable them to continue doing what they're doing, which is bringing these magnificent arts, whether it's performing or visual, or you also deal with historic preservation. They don't have the capacity to do it, so that's where your organization comes in.
Absolutely. They're all supported by great volunteers like you and board members, but they need funding. And general operating funding is one of the hardest grants to obtain for any organization, but we do have that. We're one of the few granting organizations that provides general operating grants that can be applied to salaries, anything they need. So we have that offered every year to any arts organization in the county.
And so let's talk about where this flows from. Above you is the Maryland State Arts Council, and above them, then you're looking at the federal grants coming in from National Endowment and any other private companies. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Most of our funding comes from governmental funding. And for the State Arts Council, the flow does come from the NEA, but we get tremendous support in Maryland from our own state. The state government funds most of that budget, and that's a $20 million budget. And so this administration has been particularly generous to us. All of our lawmakers, we should be very thankful to all of them that they support the arts in such a way. We're the third largest funded state for the arts in the United States.
Wow.
Maryland is very fortunate.
I had no idea. And we would like that to continue. Is the state's money dependent on the federal government?
Not necessarily. It's coming from our own taxpayers, but we do receive money from the NEA grant. So the NEA is critically important to the piece of the puzzle, and we want to make sure that continues funding. And so we've asked all of our art supporters to write to your congressman and ask them to make sure that they do support continuing the NEA.
And as far as the state is concerned, now you know, if you had any doubt on where a portion of your tax dollars do go to, it goes to the arts. And why are a lot of people, you know, I heard about a year ago, I got into a conversation about a baseball stadium being partially tax funded. It was on Facebook, and I wrote something to the effect of, we do the same thing with the arts. And I think that person could immediately grasp the understanding when I said it's, you know, goes to the arts, but they didn't understand the baseball aspect. Conversely, you have maybe the sports fans that don't get, why are we funding this?
The arts touches everyone in a different way. It could be music. It could be your favorite genre of music. Those are the arts. And that art flows, and they collaborate with many other groups. Many symphonies are working with movie scores to produce music that would appeal to everyone. Public art beautifies our area. It attracts new businesses, makes us feel like just a really cohesive environment. So you want to make sure that all the arts are funded. It affects you in many ways that you don't even realize.
Speaking of public art and Annapolis, we got into a little bit of a controversy with a painting on a building. Right. Will that continue? Will these fights continue in the years to come? Even though so many people do enjoy public art, for instance, these murals on buildings.
Absolutely. And I think that was a wonderful example of some really high-quality public art. Unfortunately, it was put up in the historic district, and so that's where it came into question. And maybe this was a learning experience for everyone, and the process will be streamlined so everyone knows moving forward the rules. Maybe it wasn't aware at that time and just an enthusiastic project. But I think that that won't be such an issue moving forward.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, more about the mission of the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County, an award you recently received. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is April Nyman. She's Executive Director of the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County, which, by the way, one of the things that they do is grant the Annie Awards to those that have lasting, significant, and inspiring contributions to art forms and arts organizations and to the wider community in Anne Arundel County. However, you recently received an award from the YWCA. Tell me about that.
It's the Twin Award, and it's Women in Industry. And it was such an honor to be included in this prestigious group of ladies that have made impacts in our Anne Arundel community. So I was thrilled to be honored.
And you certainly do deserve it. How many years have you been doing what you're doing?
10 years at the Arts Council.
That's fantastic. This week in the area, we're in the midst of this huge week that is dedicated to the arts here in Annapolis, yes?
Yes.
It's the Annapolis Arts Week. We have Paint Annapolis in full swing. On Friday evening, we have a special Living a Legacy, a tribute to Linnell Bowen. That's Friday night at Maryland Hall at 7:30 to honor Linnell Bowen's 21 years as president and CEO of Maryland Hall. She's ending her term soon.
Yeah. I know, it's so sad. It's very bittersweet.
It is. So it is a community that is dedicated to the arts, not always to the point that some of these arts organizations would like. Is that a good way of putting it?
Well, I think they always strive for growth. And maybe most of them, I think, are pretty happy. But we support 37 organizations just in general operating grants in the county. So that's pretty significant for a small community. And then we also provide mini grants and also grants for the schools.
And the schools are, let's talk about some of those. It's the Arts and Education Directory, Arts and Education Showcase. Those are the ones you're discussing, the programs that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We want to make sure that all schools have an opportunity to bring additional programming into their school through working artists. And these artists integrate the arts into every curriculum. So the arts can make an impact in the math, science, and with STEAM, and then also just to be a teaching tool for the teachers. So we do provide grants every year. The schools can apply. They can come to our showcases that we have, where we have artists come, teaching artists come, and provide a 10-minute snippet of their offering, and then they apply for a grant to us.
This is especially critical because in recent history, we've seen cuts to the schools with certain programs, arts being one, and so you're taking up the slack.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that every child has that exposure because that might be their path moving forward through college, and they may not be exposed to it any other way.
Do you ever see these grants not being utilized, not enough people applying for them?
Absolutely not. We have a big response every year, and we've upped our budget. We distribute now $55,000 in grants, and we work in partnership with the State Arts Council. They can also apply to them for the other half of the matching grant.
Okay. Performing arts here in Annapolis. Is this a tough area for performing arts? Because we're right near Baltimore. We're right near D.C.
I think maybe the larger venues are in D.C. and Baltimore, but in Annapolis, we have high-quality performing arts. It's right in our backyard, and if you haven't experienced it, please go see a show. We have high-quality theater. All of our theater uses equity actors, most all of them. They're all wonderful shows. Then we have the ballet and the symphony and the opera. And if you have not seen their shows, please do. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
The other concern, I think, with some especially with symphony, opera, ballet, is it's an aging audience, but I think that's not just necessarily Annapolis, that's globally. Is that a concern for your organization as well that you've tried to figure out how to address?
Well, we're not terribly concerned because most of the organizations we see within their grants are addressing these problems, and they're looking at new generational organizations, committees within their groups, and they also look at programming. I see them starting to look at programming to bring in the new audiences. So I think we're all moving in the right direction.
You also just recently you had the Annie Awards.
That was last October, we're getting ready for this year's.
Okay, so nominations are still being
taken until June 15th.
Okay, so people, you still have time. Who do you want to see nominated?
We have arts educator, arts patron, literary arts, visual arts, performing arts, lifetime achievement, historic arts. So anyone that you know that excels in that area that should be recognized, please, by all means, submit a nomination. Anyone can submit.
And more information on that is available where?
On our website, acaac.org.
Okay, what else is going on right now that people should be aware of that you're looking at, either now or into the future?
We are working with the Arts Week and the festival this weekend, so please come out. You'll see all of our arts groups will be at the festival manning tables to tell you a little bit about the arts scene in the county. We have everyone from North County to Annapolis. They are represented.
And that's the Annapolis Arts and Wine Festival. It takes place this weekend at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. There's music, there's food trucks, and there's a heck of a lot of wine. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday.
And 200 arts vendors as well.
Lots going on. All right, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what historic preservation means in the context of your group. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me is April Nyman. She's the Executive Director of the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County. Before we get into historic preservation, which is one of their missions for the people of Anne Arundel County, we want to take a step back with the funding. We had mentioned the funding for the Arts Council a lot of it comes from the state, but there's another area.
Probably our largest portion comes from the county and the city through a hotel tax. The hotel tax, we get a portion, 3% of that tax to support the arts. And that happened in FY12 and has continued thereafter. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to have steady funding, and we can plan for future and properly fund the organizations. So we truly appreciate that.
Let's say somebody's new coming into the arts world, an artist wants to get a studio, a group was thinking about setting up shop here. They don't have anybody on staff to help them write for grants.
If they contact the Arts Council, we try to connect them with a grant writer or make some connection with an organization that maybe that they could work with until they get on their feet. So we try to make those connections in the Arts Council. Although we don't present a lot of programming and we're primarily an administrative grants office, we make those connections.
All right, very good. Let's talk about historic preservation for the people of Anne Arundel County, because actually that was news to me. When I'm reading your mission, I just immediately went to, they provide grants for the visual and performing arts. And then here's this other part of the mission, historic preservation for the people of Anne Arundel County. What does that mean?
That's a question that we're asked often, and even by board members, they'll say, why do we support historic preservation? And in this area, that's a very important part of our community. There are so many museums that have artifacts, and they also reenact the history of Annapolis, and so that brings in the arts. And so we should support that piece of our history through the arts in making sure that we keep our history alive.
Absolutely. It makes sense now that, I don't know why I never thought of it. Tell me some organizations that you have supported that are into historic preservation.
Historic Annapolis, because they do many programs in bringing history to life. And the Maritime Museum, which hosts all of the maritime history, and we've helped them digitize all of their artifacts, and so it's easy for a visitor to come see. We have also support London Town and Shady Side, as well as some organizations in North County.
All right. Sometimes we get blinders on here in Annapolis, and we only think of, Annapolis, it's just Annapolis, but we have this great county around us with all these wonderful resources. Arts organizations out in the county beyond our Annapolis city lines that you help.
Chesapeake Arts Center is our right behind Maryland Hall as our largest grantee, and they have a facility in Brooklyn Park,
which is beautiful.
This beautiful. They have a state-of-the-art theaters. They have a black box theater. They have all sorts of opportunities for everyone in their community. So people just don't realize that that's still part of our county and the wonderful facility they have there. They partner with a PVA, with the Performing Visual Arts School, just as Bates and Maryland Hall. They have Brooklyn Park Middle.
The stage is wonderful there.
Absolutely. It really is. If you haven't been up there, take a look at their website. They have comedy shows and just so many offerings that you'd be very surprised and pleasantly surprised to go see.
South County is growing as far as population. It's no surprise to those people that have to travel en route to South every day. Is that an underserved area as far as the arts?
It is, but we do have a new group, the South County Performing Arts. They have set up shop right in the Kmart Shopping Center at Route 2, and so they have a facility there that they are co-oping space with the ballet, National Ballet, and they have a few other groups offering arts lessons, and so that's up and coming. They've been there a year, and so definitely check that out. So that's a resource in that area. And as I mentioned, Shady Side Museum,
right,
way far south, they have a great facility. Also in West County, WACA, it's the West Arundel County Arts. They just obtained a new building, and so they are building out their theater space and trying to make offerings for all the residents of West County.
That's wonderful. What's the building?
The building is in Hanover. It was formerly a police barracks. And so the state provided that space for them, and they're building it out.
All right. So what's next on the list of to-dos for you? What would you like to see in 5 years, 10 years down the road in the county that we don't currently have?
We are trying to expand our grant offerings, and so we can better serve our community. Every year, our grants that requests that come in, they double the amount that we have available to provide.
Wow.
We are working to look for some new sources of funding that we hopefully can announce soon, and then also to provide for children to make sure that they have access to the arts. No child should be not able to participate in the arts based on funding.
Exposure to the arts is critical in learning and from an early age.
Absolutely. Or just on their own. They have a talent for the arts. And so we have an Arts Angels scholarship program now that we've just started, and everyone has generously donated money to make sure that every child can go to attend arts classes. Mm-hmm. And so we just awarded our first round of our scholarships. The ballet company actually will have 4 children attending their classes this summer through these scholarships.
That's the Ballet Theater Maryland Summer Intensive, and it is it's costly, and it provides a great step forward for those studying ballet, so that's good to hear. Some of your organization, as well as so many of the organizations you help support, are dependent on volunteers, as you mentioned before. Do you need volunteers to help out?
We do. We use volunteers for our programs, the Annie Awards, and then for the festival this weekend. We have one annual gala. We have one fundraiser a year. We don't want to compete with all our organizations, but we do have an opportunity to let everybody know a little bit more about the Arts Council, because we usually sit in the background, but we want to make sure everybody knows what we're doing. So we do have opportunities for volunteers there.
So feel free to get in contact
Absolutely.
with your people to help out. And it is a good way to get to know all the arts organizations and artists in the county. And by the way, the gala is a lot of fun. I've been to it. The other part of it is, will you take private donations to help out the...
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We definitely do. We have memberships available and contributions. We have several programming with the arts and education and small programs that we do need funded. So if those are funded, then more money can go back out to the organization for grants if those are taken care of.
The best way to help the arts community of Anne Arundel County is to patronize. Buy the artwork, attend the performances. It helps everybody. It helps the community, yes?
Absolutely. Please support the artists. The artists work very hard. They're so talented. We have so many talented individuals in this area that are performing arts, visual arts. Support them. And make sure you attend a performance. That is absolutely the best way you can support the arts.
April, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
This is Donna Cole. This has been the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.